Hey, any update on Jaylen? Was he able to do anything today? And what does it look like for him over the next few days?
No, he was out, quite a bit, some swelling, but pain as well, obviously, more so than last night. And get evaluated over the next few days, unlikely tomorrow. But, unless something happens overnight, you never know. But it'll be a day-to-day thing.
It sounds like it's nothing like a high ankle sprain or one of those 6-week thing, it doesn't sound like it's too extensive.
No, it didn't look like that. Like I said, he tried to get back in the game last night. Still have the adrenaline pumping and it doesn't swell up as much, but overnight it did and has some pain. But like I said, nothing long term. I'm not sure the severity of the grade, but didn't look like anything major that'll be out for weeks.
Your bench played a pretty strong role last night. Do you feel that you got, two guys scoring 18 points? Do you feel that your reserves are developing more of an identity offensively?
Yeah, and when you look at it in the sense of Jaylen going out after 2.5 minutes, technically it's your bench, but those guys were thrust into that role. Although Aaron started and, like I said, didn't score a lot, he impacted the game with his energy and effort and physicality. And then Derek is going to, regardless of Jaylen being gone or not, he's going to take on that role of playmaker, scorer. And what we've learned very quickly is that he's adapting to what we do. And we have kind of put a little package in place for him to make plays and get downhill. And so second half, he was obviously huge, going on I think 8-0 run by himself, but doing the things that we know he's capable of and rely on him to do, but also ask more because of the Jaylen situation. And Grant's been great all year. And, when guys double team Jason the way they did late, he's a recipient of those plays and just has to make the shots or make the right read.
Putting in a package for Derek White, how do you go about doing that? Do you look back at what worked for him in San Antonio? Do you sit down and talk with him? Like, what is the process behind putting in what will work best for him and while fitting in also with the other guys?
Yeah, we already have some things in place that he does well. You look back historically at certain actions that work well for him, what he's used to playing against coverage-wise, and then ask him, what do you like these actions? And like I said, I've known him and been around him, so he's really good against drop coverages, navigating that and gets to his floater, makes the right passes, and he can also take advantage of the smaller guys like last night. And so some simple actions that we have already in our playbook. Like I said, he's quick to pick all that stuff up. Terminology-wise, maybe a little different, but some similar actions that he's run throughout his career. So it's easy to kind of put him into that spot and give him some of Jaylen's plays as well.
Thanks.
Zoom question here from Jared Weiss.
Jaylen over his career has had issues where he's had sprains like this and they manifest into bigger soreness. Last year he had to have wrist surgery. So have you talked to the medical staff about trying to be a little bit more cautious and looking for signs of recurring soreness to avoid things like that happening when he has these injuries that look bad, but they turn out not to be as bad as they seem?
You're asking, have I talked to the medical group about the risk of it being worse?
Yeah, I mean, are you guys just trying to be a little bit more cautious with him because of his injury history?
I mean, you look at an ankle is different than, a wrist, a ligament, or a hamstring. And so something like the hamstring earlier in the season where it's reoccurred over the years, ankles are ankles and that's going to happen. It's just more so the severity of it. And so, we're going to be smart at this point of the season regardless. And it's a matter of swelling and pain tolerance at some point. And the fact that it's not a, grade 2, 3 tear or whatever, where ligaments have been torn, that's obviously bodes well for him. So it's a little bit different than a muscular injury where you have to kind of take your time on that. It's really about a pain tolerance and getting the swelling out and flexibility back in. So, like I said, the ankle is an ankle and it's pretty self-explanatory as far as when he can come back, more so than a muscle injury.
You may practice days few and far between at this point in the season. What were the points of emphasis? And then is this the first time you've had Derek in a practice setting with everybody?
No, we had Derek coming out of All-Star break. We had a pretty
Right,
good one. And you know, our shoot arounds end up being not just shoot around specific for that team. It's, you know, incorporating some things that we need to do overall. But today we shifted the focus on to Memphis and, you know, Morant specifically and how we're going to defend him differently than a guy like Trae Young and what they're good at, which is, you know, number one in transition, number one points in the paint as a team, and he is individually leading the league as far as that. So we want to defend him a little bit different than Young. And number one offensive rebounding team, second chance points. So all the points of emphasis we kind of touched on today before we dig into specific plays tomorrow and shoot around. More so the mentality and how he's rubbed off on the team, his teammates and the organization, and you know, brought that swagger and confidence back. And that's a big part of what Memphis does well. They really try to, you know, kind of bully the game and you know, get everybody going with the energy plays. And so he's the head of that snake for sure. But to see what he's doing isn't very impressive, obviously. You know, faced him obviously in the West quite a bit. But it's a challenge. A guy that's playing extremely well. You know, he's had, I think, back-to-back career high nights. And so good for us, good test for us. And you kind of welcome that and want to see how we respond to it. So looking forward to it.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.